Good evening. I'm John Boyer, the Dean of the College, and I want to welcome you and to thank you for joining us this evening. I greet you with a sincere hope that winter break brought you opportunities for rest and for rejuvenation and the company of loved ones and many friends. I also wish each of you a happy new year, a year that delivers good health and ample reason for confidence in the future. The year 2020 was a very difficult year, a year like no other in our lifetimes, challenging us individually and as a community. While this new year of 2021 has already produced events that continue sentiments of sadness and a concern for our community, our country, and the world in which we live, I remain optimistic that better times lie ahead. As I mentioned in the short video that we distributed on Monday, our university plays a crucial role in modeling and defending the values of cultural openness and rational discourse, and in welcoming students and faculty from around the world. It was with caution, but I think very serious resolve that the university community shaped a successful autumn quarter, finding new satisfaction in our studies and friendships and demonstrating our ability to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And I have every confidence that we will do so again in the winter quarter. Tonight, we will give you a sense of how we have planned for a rich and successful term. And I'm joined by both colleagues and by college students here to provide information that will enable us to begin the quarter with an excitement for our curricular programming, as well as news about the new Arts-Based Winterfest activities and about new programs, exciting new programs relating to the engagement with our great city of Chicago. We will also provide you with a deeper understanding of the programming in place to help students, faculty, and staff enjoy our great university amid the continued presence of COVID-19. And so we will begin. And to begin, it's my great pleasure to introduce my distinguished colleague and friend, Professor Kai-Yi Lee, the Provost of the University of Chicago.
Thank you, John. I'm glad to be able to gather in this virtual format with all of you as we embark on the winter quarter. I would, however, like to start by acknowledging the tragic loss of Iran Fang, a PhD student in a joint program of the Booth School of Business and the Kenneth C. Griffin Department of Economics. I know this is weighing heavily on our entire community, and we send our condolences to Iran's family and friends. We will be holding a candlelight remembrance vigil for him tomorrow at 4 p.m. on the main quadrangle, and all members of our community are invited to attend either in person or remotely. As John said, this past year has been a year like no other. A worldwide pandemic has caused us to re-examine and reconfigure how we live. Losses from COVID-19, not only in deaths, but in missed social and physical interaction, have touched every one of us. Many of us also have been deeply affected by the recent violence in our nation's capital and the ongoing political and social unrest. I realize how hard it can be to focus on your studies amidst so much uncertainty. And I'm really grateful for your extraordinary efforts under such challenging circumstances. I have been impressed and inspired by your commitment to academic excellence and creative ways you have continued to keep our community strong and vibrant. The Winterfest is just one way that we as a university will continue to build on our distinctive campus traditions and foster community. To the parents and family members with us today, I know this has been a challenging time for you as well. Thank you for your support and flexibility as the university has shifted to a combination of remote and in-person learning. As the parent of a current college student and a recent graduate, I know firsthand the questions and decisions you have been facing amid the uncertainty. But I also know the joy that comes from seeing your student persevere, overcome challenges, and make progress in their coursework. Looking forward to the quarter ahead, we are at a different point as a city and a university than we were back in the fall. We are optimistic about the vaccine, which you will hear more about next. We also have months of experience lessons learned, and best practices from peer institutions that would help us go forward and uphold our mission of academic and research excellence while we adjust to the rapid changing landscape. Students, it is important that you remain vigilant and follow the health pact. If you are on campus, wear a face covering, maintain social distance, and avoid large gatherings. Self-monitor for symptoms of COVID-19 and cooperate with contact tracers should they reach out to you. These proven methods will help us continue to reduce risk on campus and address the health and safety of our surrounding community. I know that winter can be hard in Chicago, even when there's not a global pandemic. It can be dark and cold, and you may find the need for additional help and support. Please take note of the resources that will be shared today and reach out for assistance. Our instructors and staff will do everything we can to make sure you have the resources and support you need to make progress on your academic journey. And here, I wish you all a safe and productive quarter. We are fortunate to have the expert guidance of UChicago Medicine. Dr. Emily Landon and Dr. Stephen Weber would now share information about the status of COVID-19 and vaccination efforts.
Hello, everyone. I'm Emily Landon, the hospital epidemiologist and the executive medical director for infection control. It's great to be back here again, and it's great to be welcoming you back for the winter quarter. You know, the current situation in Illinois is actually pretty stable. There are some hot spots and some places that are doing better, but we are not seeing as much of a post-holiday surge as we had expected to see, and hopefully that will remain the same. In Illinois, there were 5,862 cases of COVID reported today, which is definitely less than what we had been seeing when you all were here in November. Chicago is having a bit more than what they did over the holiday period, with about 1,200 patients per day on average and about 10% positivity rate. Not exactly what we were hoping for and appearing to be a bit of a post-holiday surge, but how bad that situation will be isn't clear yet. UCM, our hospital, is holding steady right now with about 60 patients, the same, actually much better than when you were last here, but the same as it has been over the past month. You know, the mitigations in Illinois that were put into place during the fall surge are still in place. So expect that when you come back to school, there won't be any bars or restaurants open. You really need to keep your contacts to a minimum and unfortunately continue to behave as you did in the fall semester. Now, of course, I understand that you have a desire to make things better. We did so well in the fall. In fact, many of my colleagues across the country contacted me to ask for what my tips were for keeping a university safe from COVID. But really, that's all because of the work that you all did. We gave guidance, the university helped provide structure, the college provided a lot of guidance and a lot of rules for you to follow, but really the real work was done in the way that you followed them. We need you to do that again. I'm confident that we're going to get through this winter quarter, even with a post-holiday surge being concerned and in the background, even if there are increased cases. And with the new UK and South African variants, which appear to be more transmissible, I know that the situation that we've created on this campus is going to be successful at keeping them at bay. So let's talk a little bit about that new variant. It's called B117, and it is more contagious. In vitro, it's found to stick better with more affinity to our own cells, making it easier for you to get infected with less virus in the air. In other words, some of the slip-ups or sort of maybe gaps you might have had before where your mask came below your nose, or you had maybe one too many close contact, or you were a little closer than you needed to be, or weren't just careful. Those are the sorts of things that could result in infection now. So it's extra important for us to double down on those. During the winter, when the air is colder, drier, and there's newer variants coming around, that's going to be extra important. These new variants can also make you sicker sooner. In other words, well, you may not be so sick that you end up in the hospital, but they certainly will make you get sick faster. which means that contact tracing and participating with contact tracing and helping them is going to be even more important to protect your colleagues, the other students, your professors, and all of the other people on our campus community. You all did such a wonderful job in the fall. I know we can count on you to do it again, especially since we now know the vaccine is here and it's coming soon to an arm near you. You know, I've gotten my first dose of the vaccine. I get my second one on Saturday, and that's a privilege that I have as a healthcare worker. And many other healthcare workers have been vaccinated right here on campus. You'll hear a lot more of that from Dr. Weber. Remember those layers we talked about, though, the masks, the distance, the ventilation, the cleaning of surfaces, the keeping your contacts low. You have to keep doing all of those. They work equally well against this new variant, but you have to be really vigilant, as Provost Lee said. Please keep up the great work with that. And then this vaccine will add a very, very important layer as it comes online. And even if you aren't in the first group of people to be vaccinated, having more people in your community vaccinated means there's less opportunity for spread. And as more and more of us get vaccinated, that layer becomes thicker and thicker and thicker. And then we can shed some of the other layers and maybe someday be able to greet each other without masks or with less than 6 feet of distance. So as we embark upon this winter, I know it's going to be a tough one, cold and dark, not just because of COVID, but also because of our latitude on the globe. But still, once we get through this, I think we'll be through the worst of it. And I know you all are going to do a wonderful job. So for more on the vaccine and all the optimism there is associated with that, I'd like to introduce you to my friend and colleague, Dr. Stephen Weber.
Thanks very much, Dr. Landon, Emily. I'm Stephen Weber. I'm also, like Dr. Landon, an epidemiologist and infectious disease specialist. But I also serve as Chief Medical Officer at the University of Chicago Medicine, and have really helped provide physician oversight for much of our COVID response over the last year. It's hard to say now. I do want to talk specifically about the vaccination program. This is very much a moving target as we go forward, both in Chicago and probably where you're all coming from today, all over the globe. So as far as the US goes, it's important to note that vaccine allocation happens under the authority of departments of health. For us, that's the Chicago Department of Health, which is good news. We have close relationship with the Department of Public Health. It's an outstanding organization. They've really helped us not only in terms of distributing vaccine, but setting the standards about how we prioritize vaccine delivery. And since I got on this call, there's actually been some announcements here in Chicago about some changes that I'll mention a little bit later on that I think is really good news. You know, as Emily said, we did start vaccinating healthcare workers, as has been happening all over the US over the last month or so. And to that end, we followed a plan that was really based on 3 premises. One, we wanted to be pretty straightforward about it. Vaccination is confusing enough, all these allotment rules and otherwise, so we wanted to make it as clear as we could. Paired with that, we know we needed to be very, very transparent. We prepared our lists and rosters and submitted them to the city, compared notes with other institutions in the region across the country, and communicated to our healthcare team about what this would look like. And the last, maybe the most important part, which I think is really important for this group and all groups for that matter, is we want to be equitable. We do have standards that come from departments of public health, but we also have special responsibility and sensitivity to the communities that we serve, and even for our employees who are really diverse workforce, and we want to make sure we were touching all those communities. So over the last several weeks, we vaccinated about 10,000 of our own employees, been very successful in moving through that roster, but at the same time, also were able to take on in conjunction with the Department of Public Health to start vaccinating folks who aren't affiliated with the University of Chicago, other clinicians around the south side of Chicago, oral health clinics, independent offices, all with the idea of marching to a goal to make sure the healthcare infrastructure is as protected as can be. The second benefit of this approach is we want to create ambassadors of folks who've been vaccinated to go out, because when we get into the larger community, not everyone is as enthusiastic to receive a vaccine as you might be right now. We've been very busy at this work, and to date, of all the vaccines given in the city of Chicago, we've actually given out almost 20% across the entire city, just from the University of Chicago alone. So we're grateful to partner with all the other health systems and the public health departments, but at the same time, we recognize that responsibility of really getting out there for the community. Now, I don't just organize or promote vaccination. I'm also a satisfied customer. Like Emily, I see patients, and so I was vaccinated. I'm getting my second dose tomorrow, actually. And just to reassure folks again, we're all getting a lot of information about it. I guess the best reassurance I can give is I got the vaccine. And as we go forward, we have to realize that I wouldn't do something that I feel is unsafe or something that might be harmful to my family or my kids. And there'll be a lot more coming out. But I just want to leave you right now on this point with this message that whenever your time comes, whatever group you're in, whatever state you're in, whatever city you're in, when your chance comes to get the vaccine, please take that chance. Please seize that opportunity, because that is, as Emily shared, a big part of us moving beyond the pandemic. Now, thinking back to the university and to the campus, based on the most recent recommendations from the CDC, the Department of Public Health, what's happening in Chicago is that universities and colleges have been placed in phase 1C, which is essentially the next phase of essential workers. This is for staff, faculty, and others who support higher education. We're not sure which date that is going to be at yet. We're moving forward again, as I said, with the Department of Health here in Chicago, who just in the last hour released to us that we're going to start moving beyond healthcare workers and start doing some of our highest risk populations in the city. So we're going to be keeping everyone very much up to date as that moves forward. We're already doing the planning to operationalize vaccine programs on campus together with university leadership in a partnership that really led to the successful testing program and a lot of our other collaborations. Now, I recognize the big question for so many of you is, what about students? When will the students be able to get vaccinated? We're working hard with the Department of Public Health to help identify the special risks that go with being a student on campus and the special needs. But at the same time, we also realize that there are many, many people in our community who also need to be vaccinated and have potentially even higher medical risks. So we're going to keep advocating, obviously, for our community on campus, but then also with the responsibility that I know many of you are also sensitive to, that we're part of a diverse campus, a diverse community on the south side of Chicago. And we're going to advocate for all members of that community. And we look forward in the days ahead to starting to reach out to that broader community, but then also advocating and organizing to be ready to take care of the campus community when we get that signal from the Department of Public Health. So thank you very much for having me as a part of the session. I hope it was useful. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to my friend and colleague, Michelle Rasmussen, who's the Dean of Student at the university.
Thank you so much, Dr. Weber. It's a real pleasure to be here today and speaking with all of you again. I'm going to highlight just a couple of key elements of our services and supports for students that will continue in the winter quarter, just as they did in the autumn. And I'm going to start by talking a little bit about the services we offer through UChicago Student Wellness. One change that has taken place since last September is that our brand new Student Wellness Center has now fully opened. And if you can see my Zoom background, you can have a view of the beautiful courtyard, the architectural portico, and a view into the reception area and waiting area of our new wellness center. We're very excited that it's finally open, and students may have an opportunity to come to the wellness center in person if they need to come for a medical visit or possibly even a counseling visit. Having said that, though, we were very pleased with the success of delivering medical services, counseling services, and health promotion programs virtually in the autumn quarter. And we're going to continue with that model in the winter, with the majority of our medical and counseling services continuing to be offered either through Zoom or telephonically or in some other remote fashion. If, however, it's warranted, students will be able to come in person for a visit to meet with a provider. I also want to emphasize that our health promotion arm of student wellness has developed an amazing array of wellness and health programming for students. A lot of it is focusing, particularly this winter quarter, on how to get students to connect with one another socially in safe and healthy ways while we still have to contend with the pandemic. We are very aware that isolation, particularly in the cold, wintry months, can be a real challenge for students. And we want to do everything we can to develop in them the habit of mind and the opportunities to connect with their friends and with new friends. And our health promotion program in student wellness is going to work very hard to make sure that that happens. As has been mentioned already, we continue to really emphasize to our students that all of the hard work they did in the autumn quarter in following the UChicago Health Pact, in adhering to masking, social distancing, keeping the number of close contacts low, is going to be so important in the winter quarter. We're asking all of our students, even if they're returning, and certainly if they're new, to complete the winter quarter attestation, which basically is just you acknowledging that you understand the importance of following all of our guidelines. And we're going to continue to encourage students to let us know if they have any concerns whatsoever about anything they're experiencing or seeing on campus that they think might be unsafe. We had great response last quarter to the UCare reporting system. We're able to follow up very successfully with a lot of students, help them understand what they needed to change in terms of their behavior to keep everyone safe. And we'll continue that in the winter quarter as well. I also just want to make a quick note about travel. Obviously, traveling is something that can be a high-risk activity. We understand that it's necessary under certain circumstances, such as going home for winter break. But we really want to emphasize to students how important it is to limit their travel while they're studying here winter quarter, and to really know that if they do leave campus, they're going to have to adhere to any kind of stay-at-home, quarantine, or isolation that might be mandated as a result of that travel. We know that spring break is a little ways off, but we want students to keep that in mind as they think about their spring break plans. And we are very committed to finding fun ways for students to have a proper break without necessarily having to travel away from campus or Chicago. I'm really excited to welcome you all back. I'm looking forward to seeing some of you, whether in person or virtually. And now I'd very much like to hand this over to my colleague, Richard Mason, Associate Dean of the College and Assistant Vice President for Campus Life.
Thank you, Michelle. Good afternoon and good evening to you all. My name is Richard Mason, and as the Assistant Vice President of Campus Life, I have the privilege of overseeing undergraduate student housing and on-campus dining. I first want to thank all of you for the support you have given us this past quarter. Autumn quarter would not have been as successful without that support, and we will again ask you for that support as we look to build upon the successes of autumn quarter as we start this winter quarter. This past Friday, we welcomed back 2,000 students to the residence halls, which included some 100 students who moved onto campus for the first time. Upon their arrival, we asked those students to observe a 7-day stay-at-home period where they only leave their residence halls for essential activities like getting food from the dining hall or going outside for some exercise. And we also need them to attend their mandatory testing appointment. Now, many of those students will be completing the end of that period this Friday. Now, at the end of last quarter, we piloted a program where we opened up the house lounges, and house lounges are just a key part of our residential life model. And they were opened up for small gatherings, 6 or less, socially distant and wearing masks. Now, this pilot was enormously successful, and based on that success, we have decided to keep the lounges open this quarter as a place for our students to gather. Additionally, later on this quarter, we will be doing a phased reopening of the music practice rooms in the residence halls, and that's going to allow students to rehearse and practice their music. We're excited to be able to offer that additional place for students. Now, currently, in accordance with the stay-at-home period, the residential dining halls are open. They're open most days from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., but they're only takeout because of the restrictions of that particular stay-at-home. However, this Friday, again, with the completion of that stay-at-home period, we will return to allow a limited amount of seating to conform with the City of Chicago's requirement to have no more than 50 dining patrons in our dining halls at any one time. In order to assist with that restriction, we will be opening heated tents. We'll have 2 sets of tents. One set will be near Bartlett Dining Commons and Hutchinson Commons, and then the other on Campus South will be between Cathy and Woodlawn Dining Commons. This is going to be supplemental dining seating. We are looking forward to building on the programming successes of the resident staff. The activities and events put on by the resident deans, the resident heads, and the resident assistants were integral to our success in fall quarter. And we look to enhance those programs within the residence halls and also outside them as well. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce my colleague, Christopher Wild, Master of the Humanities Collegiate Division and Professor of Germanic Studies, Theater and Performance Studies, and the college. Chris?
Thank you, Dean Mason. Good afternoon and good evening. As Master of the Humanities Collegiate Division, I oversee undergraduate programs in the arts and humanities. And it is a pleasure to talk to you about College Winterfest and all the exciting programming my colleagues and I have put together for students, starting now through the winter quarter, over spring break, and ending in the spring quarter. These are dark times, both literally, as we're only a few weeks away from the shortest day of the year, and figuratively, given the pandemic around us and the political events in the nation's capital. And the latter exacerbate what is annually a weather-wise challenging period of the academic year for students across the college. Unfortunately, we don't have a magic wand that we can wave to make all of this go away. But what we can do is what we as a university do best. That is, equip our students with the intellectual and cognitive tools to understand the current situation and imagine a better future, to foster their creativity and engage the world rather than retreat from it. While we cannot simply think ourselves out of the pandemic, we can try to control how we respond to it both cognitively and emotionally. Knowledge, critical thinking, and self-reflection are some of the most important tools that have helped generation before us face adversity. And we can help our students find beauty and light in these dark times. It is no coincidence that so much Winterfest programming is coming from the arts. As an act of meaning making, art allows us to imagine otherwise and create alternative worlds and futures. Most importantly, making art allows us to assume agency at a moment when we all feel some measure of helplessness in the face of forces over which we have little control. Due to the prevailing health and safety precaution at the university, students in the fall were constrained in meeting other students and forming friendships. Needless to say, the relative social isolation isn't making things easier. Therefore, Winterfest is aiming to offer a robust range of co-curricular programming, primarily but not exclusively in the arts, that invites students to interact online and in person while observing the health and safety protocols of the U-Chicago Health Pact. This programming is designed to enrich our students' mental and emotional life in the relatively dark and stressful winter months. And our hope is that it will be diverse and inclusive, exciting and engaging, experiential and creative, play and meaningful. Now I want to walk you through the Winterfest website, which we have built to make all programming easily accessible and to showcase some of the exciting events and activities that my colleagues have put together for our students. I'm going to share my screen now. If you want to see a list of all Winterfest activities and events chronologically listed, you can click on the calendar link here and just simply scroll down. When you click on one of these events, let's just try this out. You come to the event webpage with more information and a registration link. And let me just quickly go back again. And I'm going to make you a little dizzy right now by quickly scrolling down to the end of this list. But I want to show you how much we have planned, as there are 16 pages of Winterfest programming. Thus, we feel confident that there is always something fun to do. Let me go back to the main Winterfest web page and show you that there is a great variety of events and activities. We hope that there will be something for every taste, talent, and interest. Most events and activities do not presuppose any prior experience or skills. Some events are one-offs and require a low-level engagement. Others are more involved and engage students over weeks and even months. Some programs are virtual and some in person or mixed. Some allow students to participate individually, and some foster or even require working in groups. Signature events that you can see listed here, and this is just a selection of some of the signature events, are large-scale creative projects, and I count Chicago Futures among them, about which Chris Scrable will speak in a moment. That include many different events and activities, span over a number of weeks and even months, and allow students to collaborate as creative teams in making things. Students register as creative teams by forming a Winterfest friend circle, which allows them to collaborate in person when the design or project calls for it. Let me show you Light Fantastic as an example. Light Fantastic is a public art project in which students get to design and build light sculptures or installations from bamboo poles and strings of lights, as you can see here, just some modeled, that will be put up and displayed across campus starting in February and ending in March, on March 20th, the spring equinox. And you can see here, this is the whole schedule, the timeline for this building of the light sculptures. Spring Forward is an even more ambitious and multifaceted art project culminating in a pageant on May Day, the ancient festival of spring, involving mask design, noise making, dance performances, and much more. Of course, we will have to see how things develop in Illinois and Chicago in regard to COVID in order to know how the pageant will look like, and therefore we're putting a number of contingency plans in place. Nonetheless, I want to emphasize that there is so much to do and so much fun to be had leading up to the pageant. Let me just scroll down a little bit. In May, like virtual visits to the mask collection of the Field Museum, workshops on mask making or paper cutting by professional artists, and so much more. I'm just going to jump over to the web page that lists all of the events that are coming from the arts and humanities. And here you can see again the signature events that are organized by the arts and humanities. If you like solving puzzles, then the giant puzzle hunt we're launching during spring break is for you. The puzzle hunt will combine deduction, creative problem solving, and some old-fashioned running around as teams of players race to solve several puzzles per day, along with a week-ending meta puzzle. Let me close by showing you how to see all arts-related events and activities in one glance. If you scroll down here to this accordion, all the arts programming sorted by type, and you just simply click on that, and you can see how much there is to do. You can see the different classes, workshops, and other types of programming that you can choose from. I hope that I have whetted your appetite and that all of this exciting programming will make it easier to get through the cold and dark winter quarter. I wish everyone a safe, rich, and rewarding quarter. And now it is my pleasure to pass the torch to Chris Scrable, Director of Chicago Studies and Experiential Learning, who will talk to you about Winterfest programming that will allow students to engage with the city of Chicago, present and future. Chris?
Thank you so much, Professor Wild. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Winter Quarter. My name is Chris Scrable, and I am the college's Director of Chicago Studies and Experiential Learning. Chicago Studies represents part of the college's effort to respectfully and responsibly engage more deeply in the life of this city that we call our home. We do this through a wide range of Chicago-focused classes, immersive quarters, and course bundles that offer deep dives into aspects of our city's life and history through a certificate program, a program of support and recognition for students whose research focuses on the city, and a wide range of co-curricular opportunities, including, in normal times, urban excursions and treks, Dean Boyer's famous Chicago history bike tours, and a range of lectures, panel discussions, and more that enable members of the college community to learn from and with Chicagoans of all walks of life. During the pandemic, we've taken a lot of our programming online, which means that anyone watching this session can participate in our offerings. We even have a virtual hybrid or self-guided version of Dean Boyer's Fall Bike Tour that you can take on the road with you as you bike through the city of Chicago. I'm here this evening, however, to introduce our upcoming Chicago Futures series, which is one of the signature events of the college's Winterfest. Chicago Futures is a collection of programs that we've designed in collaboration with our colleagues at the Parizia Program for Public Discourse to do what a great university does best: to think, to debate, and to create new futures in response to crisis. As so many of our previous speakers have alluded to, our past year has visited what has felt like an overwhelming series of crises on Chicago: the pandemic and its economic consequences, a worsening climate crisis, an increasingly unproductive political climate, and a long overdue reckoning with the legacy of centuries of systemic racism. We believe that these challenges constitute an opportunity to rethink much of what we've taken for granted about our lives as Chicagoans, a chance to re-examine our presuppositions and to reimagine what our city could and should be. Chicago Futures includes an 8-part distinguished lecture series featuring the voices of college and regional scholars. And I'll zoom in a little bit so that you can see these a little bit more clearly. These will be conducted over Zoom and recorded for subsequent viewing. Registration for our winter lectures is already open. The series will begin next week with our only historical presentation, a discussion of the struggle to reimagine Chicago after the Great Fire of 1871 with Chicago historian and author Carl Smith from Northwestern University. Professor Smith's lecture and our series will be introduced by Dean Boyer and followed every 2 weeks with presentations that will consider the futures of Chicago's political discourse, our waterways, our vacant land, our public schools, and more. These sessions are open to the public, and I encourage all of you listening this evening to join us for the presentations and for their subsequent discussions, which in the University of Chicago tradition, I imagine will be robust, rigorous, and fruitful. We'll complement these big picture reflections with a 6-part Chicago Conversation series, in which we'll take a more specific look at vital aspects of Chicago's cultural life that have been significantly impacted by the pandemic. Our winter guests will include local restaurateurs, artistic directors and actors from Chicago storefront theaters, and fingers crossed, a D-list Chicago drag celebrity, among others. In spring, we'll ask what's next for Chicago neighborhood small businesses, for our live music scene, and our prolific outdoor festivals and farmers markets that make our summers so enjoyable. Again, these events will be on Zoom and open to the public, so we hope that many of you will consider joining us. And if you can't, we'll also release each conversation as a podcast episode shortly after it airs. Between quarters, we look forward to offering opportunities for more creative and personal engagement in imagining and engaging with our Chicago futures. Our Chicago 2050 Design Challenge will invite student teams to respond to a pressing issue in Chicago 2021 by describing what its solution would look like in Chicago 2050, and then proposing the steps that need to take place now to move us into that future. In addition to prizes, our winners will have the opportunity to present their solutions in a larger forum, including local officials and other civic leaders. And on a more personal level, we'll also be offering students a Design Your Life workshop and advising sequence based on the tremendously successful book series and courses from Stanford University and led by a trained DYL facilitator. These will offer participants tools derived from industrial design theory that they can apply to reimagining their own futures, whether in Chicago or elsewhere, as well as another chance to build community with other students who are going through a similar process of self-exploration. Registration for these opportunities, which are limited to college students, will be opening soon on both the Chicago Studies and the Winterfest websites. The times in which we find ourselves invite and even demand not only great resilience and discipline, but also profound reflection and abundant creativity. The University of Chicago, as you've seen this evening, cultivates all of these attributes, and we're so excited to invite the college community and our extended college community to apply them in service of a brighter future for the city that we call home. We hope you'll join us. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce Yara Ibrahim, one of our wonderful students in the college and a member of the RSO Council on University Programming. Yara?
Thank you, Mr. Scrable. Hi, my name is Yara, and I am a third year in the college. On campus, I am the assistant chair for the Council on University Programming, or CUE, and CUE is a student-run organization that typically plans a few major social events per year, which in the past have been defined by big crowds and indoor spaces. So there's been a lot of trial and error in trying to figure out how to continue to stay engaged when the kind of RSO involvement still available isn't really what I signed up to do. So an approach that I started to develop for myself last quarter is trying to find a balance between being open to trying new activities that maybe wouldn't have sounded interesting to me before, but also keeping up with a few familiar activities and traditions and maybe just adapting them a little. For example, with CUE, we've had to be completely open to replacing some of our usual events with new ones like virtual drag queen bingo, which is honestly something I would have never considered doing before. But I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I was anticipating. And I think a lot of the students that joined had a pretty similar reaction. But we've also tried to maintain some of our beloved UChicago traditions that people have grown to anticipate every year. Cuvia being a major one that we're currently in the midst of planning. And for that, we're trying our very hardest to maintain as much of its integrity as possible. So for me, this mindset has been really helpful in keeping me involved in CUE, which in turn is really beneficial as an outlet from all of the stress of virtual learning. And it's also helped me stay involved in other things as well, like a virtual game night is something that I had never done before and probably never would have, but I ended up joining one for an RSO that I'm not even in, with people I had never met before, but I still had a really great time. And then on the flip side, there are traditions that I had started with friends that I had made from my house, and we've tried our best to continue some of those, even if they don't look exactly the same. And it's still really difficult at times, but overall, the way that I've continued to stay engaged this quarter is by not trying to recreate everything that I used to do, because I think logistically that does pose some challenges sometimes and can be disappointing if it doesn't quite measure up. But I'm also not trying to replace all of the traditions and activities that I've grown to love, because I think that aspect of familiarity is really important and definitely brings a certain sense of comfort. And now it is my pleasure to introduce another student in the college, Adonia Quadio.
Hi, thank you so much, Yara. Hi, everyone. My name is Adonia Quadio. I'm a fourth year comparative human development major in the college, and this is my second year as a resident assistant in Strongen House in Campus North. And so today I want to talk to you all a little bit about my experience building and maintaining community over the past few months. Of course, COVID poses a direct challenge to community building in a lot of ways, but something that I think is really valuable about living in the dorms and in residential community like this is that for many students, it's an opportunity, some for the first time, to begin to understand in a new way what it really is like to play an active role in contributing to a community of people. And I think we've been really fortunate over this past quarter to live in a community like I do in Strongen in Campus North, where there are so many people who are so dedicated to building connections with one another, not only among the staff, but among the residents and students as well. And there's just so much creativity to go around to really make that possible in such a difficult time. And some examples of some things that we've done in my house over this past quarter, we instituted a pen pal system. So our residents got to exchange notes and letters with one another in a socially distant way. For over Halloween, we did a costume contest over Zoom. That was a lot of fun. And this upcoming weekend, we're actually going to do some Zoom karaoke. So we'll see how that goes. It should be a good time. But, you know, we're just so thankful that our RAs, RHs, and RDs have put in so much effort and creativity into creating a really valuable experience in a really difficult time. But of course, that's not to say that it's been, you know, perfect residential bliss since we've gotten here. And I feel, especially for the first year students who were expecting something different out of their college experience. But what I found last quarter to be really helpful, and what I hope will be helpful going in to the next quarter, is keeping things in perspective. I remind myself and I remind my residents that there is a strong correlation between our ability to adhere to the guidelines that are in place and our ability to have those opportunities for community building that we want. You know, it makes life so much easier on housing and the staff, and it also lifts a strain off of the community when we are adhering to the guidelines that are set in place to protect all of us. You know, for all of the things that COVID might have taken away from the college experience, something that I'm really thankful for here, being a part of residents' life, and something that I feel remains despite everything else, is a deep appreciation for the importance of community. And so I'm so hopeful going into the next quarter that our residents and all the students here in housing will continue to make good decisions and contribute to fostering that community of inclusiveness and of healthy togetherness that we have been over the past quarter. So thank you. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce the Dean of Students in the college, Dean Ellison, for his closing remarks.
Thank you, Adonia. I want to just stop for just a moment and express our gratitude on behalf of Dean Boyer, Provost Lee, and myself for all of our colleagues who have participated tonight. It's so wonderful to be working with so many people who are working so hard for our students. I also want to take a moment to thank our students, our faculty, and our staff who work so hard to keep our community safe during the autumn quarter. As Adonia said, the way we were able to continue and to move forward is because of the hard work and people's compliance, and also just looking out for each other. Social distancing, wearing masks, washing hands frequently, and cleaning surfaces has been so important. It has allowed us to do many of the things that we want to do, including the wonderful innovative things you heard about tonight with the Winterfest and the Chicago Studies opportunities. These are only possible because our faculty, our staff, and our students really took the community safety to light. Also want to thank all of the people who worked in the background to plan Winterfest and the Chicago Studies activities. There were a lot of people involved, and they worked so carefully to make sure these opportunities were available for our students so that they could get out, enjoy this wonderful city, and have opportunity to socialize. Now, Dean Rasmussen talked about the support services that are available to students. I want to talk a little bit about the academic support services that are available. Because of the hard work of our students during the autumn quarter, staying safe, we are able to open additional study spaces across campus. As Dean Mason said, we're going to open some more spaces in the housing very soon, but also we're going to have more spaces across campus. These will be listed on the CSO website. Students need to check that website and understand that many of the spaces, the hours will be posted, but they are controlled by other entities, so they may change without notice. The library will also continue the services that they had during the autumn quarter. There are study spaces that students can reserve online, and these are for quiet study, but there's also spaces available in the reg for Zoom and meetings where students want to attend a class. They can go to the 4th floor into the reading room and actually have class time there, of course, by Zoom. Now they need to make arrangements and reservations 12 hours in advance, but this is another opportunity for students to be within the library, to use the library Wi-Fi and the resources there, and to be able to participate in their classes. Now, unfortunately, the stacks are still closed, but the collections are accessible through paging and pickup and the scan and delivery services run by the library. I would encourage all of our students to visit the library website, and you can find out more information about what's available, how to access it, and what support services you can expect to get from them. Now, this covers Carrar, Mansueto, and the Reg. The other libraries are for their students only. That is the Social Services Administration and the Law School. Now, I also want to remind everybody about the College Core Tutor Program. This is a free peer tutoring service open to all undergraduates. It focuses on scientific and quantitative subjects, chemistry, economics, mathematics, biology, computer science, statistics, and of course, our physics introductory classes. Now, these services are available between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. Central Time, Sunday nights through Thursday nights. But now, to accommodate students who are in different time zones, on Sunday and Wednesdays, each subject will have additional hours from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Now, that translates to 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Now, these are 4-hour drop-in sessions, no appointment is needed, and students can come and go as they please. All they have to do is look online, get the Zoom meeting ID, and they can join. Now, we also have our academic skills and assessment program, which is designed to help students improve their academic performance via online resources, small group workshops, and one-on-one individual appointments. Now, this can help students with time management issues, effective exam preparation, test anxiety, and general study skills. And they are available. Students can access them and get more information online. Now, every student in the college is assigned to an academic advisor who is a full-time professional in the college, and their sole purpose is to work with students through the college academic advising office and help the students pursue their academic interests and plan a program of study that will lead to the degree from the university. Beyond academics, the advisors also provide guidance on pursuits outside the classroom that can help students to align their studies and their academic choices with their emerging career goals, with their interests, and also helps them access all the resources that are available on campus. Now, first-year students are required to meet with their advisors this quarter, but all other students are encouraged to do so as well. They might want to meet with the advisors because they've thought about their major, they want to declare a major, or perhaps change major. They're more interested in other subjects, or they want to just try something else out. Also, there may be resources on campus that they're unfamiliar with that the advisors can help them connect with. Students make appointments by visiting the college scheduling website. Now, every student can also access the advisor on call, which is available Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Central Time from now through the end of finals week. Students sign up for same-day appointments with the advisor on call through this college scheduling website. Now, students also have access to My Planner, which is a degree planning tool that allows students to plan out their 4 years based on requirements listed out for their catalog year and on historical course schedule data. This helps students to plan their schedule and really think about the classes that they want to take. We also continue to offer services to the Center for College Student Success. Now, this is a group of advisors and professionals who really concentrate on first-generation, low-income or under-resourced students and students who have complicated family or personal immigration statuses. The Center for College Student Success gives emergency loans. They also have a laptop lending program, so if a laptop breaks, a student can go there. And they are there to support all students, not just the students I mentioned. Of course, our career advancement professionals are continuing to look for opportunities for students for employment and for internships. And I have to say they've been very, very successful, impressively successful. And if your student wants to look for an internship for the summer, they are available and they will help them find them. And also on a different note, for parents and guardians who are joining us, if you need or you have friends or colleagues who need internships or interns, or perhaps job opportunities, please be in touch with Career Advancement and help us connect our U Chicago students. I also want to bring to your attention the College Center for Research and Fellowships. Now, this is an office that's particularly dedicated to help students think about academics outside of the college. That would include competitive national and international fellowships like the Fulbright, the Rhodes, and the Marshall, but also research while on campus and research off campus. And they also will help advise students who are considering a career in academia. These are professionals and whose job it is to help connect students to the world of academics and academic achievement. And they are ready to assist, and they run programs and workshops to teach students how to write grant proposals and to write applications. So I encourage students who are interested in that to please be in touch with them. And finally, I would like to close by saying thank you for attending today. We're so grateful that you're here. We're thankful for our students and the hard work they've done. We all wish you a safe, healthy, and successful quarter and a very happy new year.